Hello, wherever you are. How's everyone doing? I hope you're doing good. Welcome to another blessed and beautiful day in the life of being gifted. Another day, right? Um, before being gifted. Good job. Um, I welcome all of you for everything you're doing and for staying awake and staying woke as to what is happening in the world, right? Thanks for staying woke and listening to everything that's happening in the world. It's very important that we always, at all times, uh, always pay attention to political system and pay attention to how politicians flow, right? Pay attention to how politicians flow and behave in their own way, right? They all have a way of, how can I say, conducting themselves and speaking. And we have Fox News that claims that they're not news, right? That they're just entertainment. Hello, everyone. My name is Celso Garcia, live from New York City, bringing you news daily and improving each broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and Substack. Every day, trying to improve, trying to bring you daily podcast of the news around the world and the news in New York City. I try not to speak a lot about New York City politics because, as you know, I tend to get involved in a lot of the political stuff happening in our neighborhood, in Queens, in New York City. And I had to scale it back a little bit because I was doing a lot of volunteer work, a lot of work that was unpaid. And now I decided, hey, let me do stuff that will benefit me and my family. So, but I appreciate every single one of you because life is beautiful, life is good when we're all united. And so, can you believe that Hasan Piker? I couldn't believe it at first, right? When I heard about this. Hasan Piker will be debating Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity from Fox News will be hosting Hasan Piker on his show to debate him. And I'm like, who's going to be the moderator? Is it just going to be them two duking it out? Or is there going to be an actual moderator? Is it going to be like a presidential debate type of thing where uh, Hasan Piker, they call him what, the darling of the left, or the um, standout candidate of the left, will be debating the right's um, biggest advocate, the person that decided to turn on the Pope instead of supporting anyone else, right? He turned on the Pope to support Donald Trump, right? That's like the ultimate FU to the Pope, right? He's a Catholic. He claimed he was Catholic, but a lot of people say he has had a lot of complaints, NDAs, non disclosure agreements filed against him, um, that he, like, I don't know, allegedly. He likes the young interns. I don't know. Allegedly. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true. I don't work in Fox News. So, but allegedly he's very well. He is very well respected in that unisphere. of the Fox News world, right? Everyone hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. Let's talk about it. And this is an example of Sean Hannity's program.
Who has openly condemned America's war in Iran while seemingly enjoying a public fight with President Trump. First, let me give some context. Like millions of Americans, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I even attended a seminary in high school, studied theology, Latin, went to Mass daily. But as of today, I no longer consider myself a Catholic. Where are the pointed words for Iran, this evil regime, the number one state sponsor of terror, the people that murdered 45,000 innocent protesters? Not a peep from Pope Leo. Iran is now set to, literally have 4 more protesters and hang them and kill them, including a woman. Nothing from Pope Leo. Iran oppresses women. Nothing from Pope Leo. Tortures them, rapes them, kills them. Nothing from the Pope. Iran backs terrorists in Iraq and Beirut who have killed Americans for decades. Nothing from Pope Leo. Iran drops bombs on holy sites and neighborhoods all over Israel, densely populated areas
like Pope Leo has been speaking about peace and saying that he wants peace in the world. And he visited Lebanon. He actually was physically in Lebanon last year. So for Hannity to say this, it's preposterous, it's not accurate, and a lot of people were offended. And he claims he's not Catholic anymore, and he disavows Catholicism. He no longer shares that view that he doesn't support Pope Leo anymore, right? He doesn't support Pope Leo at all, and he doesn't support the Catholic Church. But a lot of people say that he doesn't behave like a Catholic, not even on the news channel, and he's very loyal to Fox. He wasn't willing to criticize Fox. He wasn't willing to say anything against Fox. Um, he's like the prototypical employee, company employee, right? That defends the company to the end. Bill O'Reilly was like that. Um, Tucker Carlson was like that. And then they all eventually were pushed out as soon as they criticized President Trump or they criticized the news agency that was feeding in their ear that they had to speak a certain way, right? Um, and what they do, um, Fox News claim they're not a news agency, right? They claim that they're a entertainment venue, right? And they're an entertainment agency. Therefore, they don't have to comply with the laws, right? That's what happened during Dominion. They ended up settling the case for almost $1 billion, and they almost bankrupted the company. And so, um, I guess they're not being cautious anymore. They already got past that because they're willing to back Sean Hannity. And a lot of people in his corner, in Sean Hannity's corner, are attacking him and saying, why would he have Hasan Piker on his show? Why would he debate him? They're telling him that he should cancel the debate with Hasan Piker. And in the end of the day, the news station, all they want is publicity, press, attention, and ratings, right? All they want are good ratings. So scheduling this as the Royal Rumble, as the major showdown in the political world, it's uh, it's going to be an interesting debate, right? Because I know that they don't get along. Hannity is a big defender of Trump and of the beliefs that Trump has, and has never backed down from from Trump. He hasn't criticized Trump. He's one of the last people that Trump has left in the right wing media that hasn't criticized him, right? So Hannity flipped and gave his back to the Pope, gave up his Catholic upbringing to say that he supports Trump.
Tel Aviv, and Pope Leo has not bothered to call them out by name. And while the Pope condemns all nuclear weapons, especially on the anniversary of Hiroshima, I don't think we had a choice. Same with Nagasaki. It did end a war, did save a lot of American lives. He doesn't seem interested in ever referencing Iran's unrelenting pursuit of them. And I have a question for the Pope. Is it the right or wrong thing to prevent radical mullahs in Iran, again, the number one state sponsor of terror, from ever having nuclear weapons? Today, President Trump raised this very important question. Take a look.
Well, I want him to preach the gospel. I'm all about the gospel. But I also know that you cannot let a certain country, which is a very mean-spirited country, have a nuclear weapon. If they did, they would use it.
The president is correct. The Pope is wrong on so many levels. Perhaps Leo's judgment is clouded. After all, he has an old Twitter account. And by the way, it is riddled with anti-Trump messages, including posts accusing Donald Trump of fueling racism and nativism, and other posts pushing for climate change and open borders. Ultimately, preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is both moral and logical, and it could save potentially millions of lives. And we won't burden our children and grandchildren with a nuclear-armed terrorist state. Now, sadly, the same cannot be said for the leadership today of the Catholic Church.
And so this is Hannity. This is Hannity. Should I introduce you to Hasan Piker? Do you know who he is? Left-wing commentator. Has a lot of interesting point of views, right? Has a lot of interesting point of views. Let me play one more clip of Sean Hannity, right? So let me play one more clip of Sean Hannity attacking people. This is what he does, right? He's like, so he abandoned the Catholic Church. He went after CNN. He said Tapper was a traitor. Everyone, support the program. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe. Hit the like button. And so let's play one more Sean Hannity clip. And once we finish with Sean Hannity, we'll play a little bit of Hasan Piker. And you tell me, who do you think will win the debate between these two men? Who do you think will win the debate? If he thinks that Jake Tapper is a left wing nut, imagine what he thinks about Hasan Piker, right? What do you think what do you think he feels about Hasan Piker? He must have some crazy perspectives, right? So this is the post um, that he put up. I'll show you the post that um, Hasan Piker put up. Or at least I thought it was him that put it up. That he is debating Sean Hannity, right? It seems like Hasan Piker is more excited than Sean Hannity is. Hasan Piker confirms upcoming debate with Sean Hannity on Hangout with Sean Hannity podcast. right? So he did confirm that he will be on the podcast with Sean Hannity. And they're both getting slack for it, right? They're both getting slack for it. And this is a criticism they have of Hasan Piker, that he's riding a horse. As a kid, they called him, Hasan Piker was literally a fat little rich kid with a pony. Now he makes a fortune selling Eat the Rich to Nepo commie kids, laughing my ass off, according to them. So he's promoting it, and so Fox News has been covering Hasan Piker on a daily basis.
Discourse because he showed up at a rally with a candidate in Michigan. He has a big audience. He does this thing, go on his stream or don't go on his stream, listen to his interviews or don't listen to them. It's not that deep, frankly, and it's not a defining feature of the party.
But at least we know who he is.
Yeah, and the New York Times is platforming this.
But
put him on the list.
The more exposure that you get to these ideas, if you listen to it and you don't like it, then you at least know that, and you can say, actually, I'm not down with the candidate that he's supporting.
Or anti-Semitism,
anti-American.
We're not paying
anti-Americanism.
Yeah. All right, guys, the fastest is. And what are we on? Week 4 or 5 of the Hasan Piker discourse because
we're in week 5.
At a rally with a candidate in Michigan. He has a big audience. He does this thing, go on his stream or don't go on his stream.
Yeah. Either way, he has a big audience. And
listen to his interviews or don't listen to them. It's not that deep, frankly, and it's not
a
defining feature of the party.
But at least we know who he is.
And
the New York Times is
Hasan Piker
put him on the list.
The more
are
exposure
gonna
that
be
you get
together.
to these ideas, if you listen to it and you don't like it, then you at least know that, and you can say, actually, I'm not down with the candidate that he's supporting.
Or anti-Semitism,
anti-American.
We're not paying
anti-Americanism.
All right, guys, the fastest is. And what are we on? Week 4 or 5 of the Hasan Piker discourse because he showed up at a rally with a candidate in Michigan.
And all he did was show up in the rally. They didn't like it. And now they're going crazy, going after the left. And so
that, I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to. This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis, Nazi this, Nazi that. I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my Nazi? Hey, what up, my Nazi? Oh my hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
Nazi, please.
Thank God you did a hard eye there. What does it tell you, though? This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis, Nazi this, Nazi that.
Super racist, right? Like when white people try to be racist, but they're just being funny. They're just telling a joke, right? But they're being blatantly racist. It's bizarre. It's annoying. Right? Oh yeah, this is the one I wanted to show you. Hasan.
If you
the interview that some of the right wing are having a fit about. Listen to it. Let me see what you think.
Yeah, no, I'm pro piracy all the way. Like across the board. Would you pirate a car? Yes. If you could, if one could
pirate a car,
it was just a classic thing back in the day where they'd be like, the government funded anti-piracy initiatives would be like, would you steal a car? I'm like, yeah, sure. If I could get away with it, if it was as easy as pirating IP, I would do it. Yeah.
Would you dine and dash from your local diner?
Never. Never. Tip 35%. Mike's, come on.
No, I wouldn't do that. And if I saw somebody doing that, I'd probably pay for their meal.
Yeah. Would you steal a book from the library?
Never.
No.
Would you steal from the Louvre?
Yes.
I would not be logistically capable of executing such a fact, but would I cheer on every news story of people that I see doing it? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's cool. We gotta get back to cool crimes like that, like bank robberies, right? Stealing priceless artifacts, things of that nature. I feel like that's way cooler than the 7,000th new cryptocurrency scheme that people are engaging in.
Crazy. So they accuse Hasan Piker of being an extremist, right? Always. They accuse him of being an extremist, of being woke, or being the opposite of what Hannity is, right? As a matter of fact, the prosecutor, district attorney of San Francisco, it is my solemn duty to safeguard this city for the people and posterity. If Hasan Piker, Hassan the Hun, enters the San Francisco city limit, he will be immediately arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So they're saying supposedly he's banned from San Francisco because of the comments that he made about stealing and making it seem cool. And San Francisco has been pretty much destroyed with theft and shoplifting. And so I wanted to play one more video of Hasan Piker where that's him with a horse. No big deal. As much as people want to make it a big deal. So this is Fox News
rally with a candidate in Michigan. He has a big audience.
This is when they go hard on him.
He does this thing, go on his stream or don't go on his stream, listen to his interviews or don't listen to them. It's not that deep, frankly, and it's not a defining feature of the party.
But at least we know who he is.
Yeah, and the New York Times is platforming this.
Put
him on the list.
The more exposure that you get to these ideas, if you listen to it and you don't like it, then you at least know that, and you can say, actually, I'm not down with the candidate that he's supporting.
Or anti-Semitism, anti-American.
We're not paying
anti-Americanism. Yeah.
All right, guys, the fastest is. And what are we on? Week 4 or 5 of the Hasan Piker discourse, because he showed up at a rally with a candidate in Michigan. He has a big audience. He does this thing, go on his stream or don't go on his stream, listen to his interviews or don't listen to them. It's not that deep, frankly, and it's not a defining feature of the party.
But at least we know who he is.
Yeah, and the New York Times is platforming this.
Put him on the list.
The more exposure that you get to these ideas, if you listen to it and you don't like it, then you at least know that, and you can say, actually, I'm not down with the candidate that he's supporting.
Or anti-Semitism, anti-American.
We're not paying him.
So, what do you think, people? Fox News is excited about it. They're bashing Hasan Piker. They're acting like he's not on the other platforms. They're acting like they need him or he needs them. I don't know. This doesn't sound good. Everything they're all saying.
But
Put them on the list.
the more
Listen to this.
exposure that you get to these ideas, if you listen to it and you don't like it, then you at least know that, and you can say, actually, I'm not down with the candidate that he supports.
Or anti-Semitism,
Anti-American.
We're not paying him.
Anti-Americanism. Yeah.
All right, guys, the fastest is.
And what are we on, week 4 or 5 of the Hasan Piker discourse, because he showed up at a rally with a candidate in
They
Michigan.
hate him, right?
He is.
So imagine the Fox News host and the Fox News audience with Hasan Piker right there sitting with them. How they gonna feel? They're gonna be upset, right? The Fox News base is upset. You think? Okay, one more video on Hasan Piker, and we move on. Because this was the video that was disturbing, right? Donald Trump says Candance Owens' stock, which was never very high, has fallen a long way. Her attack on the First Lady of France is despicable. I believe in this case, without verification, she is an extremely low IQ individual. Wow. And that's a picture that he showed of her. This is what he put on Truth Social, right? This is the tweet. He really went hard after her. He's not embarrassed enough that they took the home to so many people in Queens. So he's not embarrassed of going after the people that have helped elect him, that have put their names on the line to try to help you. I mean, so that's the Times display Candance Owens. It's showing Candance Owens and how she supposedly, allegedly behaves, or where they got her from the street. And so, not a nice video, not very respectful, because there haven't been any credible claims against her. So Candance Owens, how's she gonna clap back to this one? Yeah. I want to know where Trump got this picture from. I want to know where he got this picture from. Right? I want to know where he got this picture from. It's like disrespectful. And he is not a good person to put this up about somebody. I mean, it's a podcaster that you don't like, somebody that supported you, somebody that was on your side. And she's also Catholic. She stood up to the Pope, before the Pope, and she realized now, just like Tucker Carlson, realized that they made a mistake by supporting Donald Trump and pushing people towards him. That now everyone is left holding the bag. No returns allowed, right? So they're stuck with the merchandise of supporting him, right? Bizarre but true. They claim that this is how Candance Owens looked before they took her in and fixed her up, right? Which is like, wow. A president will post this online about somebody. Why would you post this online about somebody? A newcomer to the New York City mayor's office, and they could have easily helped them or escort them if it was necessary. But they just said, see you in a few, right? So, what do you think about Candance Owens, Donald Trump feud, right? This is something that they should bring up. Sean Hannity should be disgusted and be willing to stand up to his company, his management, right? Everyone hit the like button, hit the share button, no matter what platform you're on. I'm live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and Substack. I will appreciate it if you hit the like button. Hit the like button. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. And let's get this show going. Don't forget to donate to the Cash App, $ Old Man Labor. Thank you so much. So let's keep talking about Candance Owens and how the president is just straight up disrespecting her by posting this old picture of her. Is it AI? I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure about that. Thank you for supporting the channel. Hit Old Man Labor, $ Old Man Labor on the Cash App. $5, $10, $20, $100, $1,000, $10,000 will get me closer to the goal of hitting 25,000 by the end of this month. Right? But I appreciate you all that have donated and supported the channel. Thank you so much. So, what do you think about this cover? You think it's the right way to speak about another person? Right? It's a doctored picture, and Donald Trump's words are not very nice. Right? You would think that he would apologize or keep himself from getting upset. Apparently, he just got up and walked away without responsibility. But that's for another day, right? Another court that could scrutinize that, right? So should Candance Owens back down from President Trump's attempt? What do you think? Should she comply with what they have for her, what they say about her? But I say don't feed into their narrative, right? Never feed into their narrative. If that's the case, you will lose every single time. So we got to improve that narrative for regular people. And at the end of the day, Candance Owens is an employee, right? Look at this. Candance Owens' stock, which was never very high, has fallen a long way. Her attack on the First Lady of France is despicable. I believe in this case without verification. She's an extremely low IQ individual, right? She thinks that whatever she does, Trump is going to pardon her anyway. So she could do whatever she wants, right? That's her point of view. I mean, she was a big Trump supporter. She gave us Trump Tucker Carlson gave us Trump. All these people contributed to the rise of Trump and Trumpism. So how could they come back and now all of a sudden we have to trust them, right? Now we have to trust them after they betrayed us and forgot about us, right? After they betrayed us, we gotta now trust them. After they supported Trump, spoke so highly of him, and now they're saying, oh, we didn't know he was this toxic. We didn't know. And now he's tweeting about her on a daily basis, right? This is like very racist. I don't even want to cover this tweet, right? I don't want to cover these type of tweets, but this is what he does, and people support him. So she said, I've been traveling overseas all day. So sorry if I'm late to reacting, but this is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous trend that should be edited. I did not trade racial slurs with Laura Loomer, Trump's top advisor. She's manic and throwing racial slurs, and I've been laughing at her. Thank you for the attention to this matter. So there goes Tucker Carlson. And everyone's tweeting it, retweeting it, right? And this is what the tweet from this morning. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And then Ted Lieu said he read the tweet from Donald Trump, and he said, F you, right? He sent a long tweet. Let me see if I can zoom in. No. But some people are accusing him of being a racist. The longest tweet I've seen was Donald Trump, right? It's a huge tweet at 4:00 in the morning, or 3:44. I didn't know. People said they didn't know you could do tweets that long, but it's not tweet. It's a truth social. Trump could do whatever he wants, right? This is Christy Nome, right? Christy Nome is still living in the naval base. Remember, she said she needed extra protection. So Christy Nome is still living. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, everyone. Right? She's still living in the Coast Guard base. But they're saying the only problem is that the Coast Guard base is part of the Coast Guard, which is under the Department of Homeland Security. But she's part of the State Department now. But she's still, 8 weeks later, is still living there in the Coast Guard base. Right? Ice Barbie, Christy Norman still occupying the waterfront home on the DC military base that she moved into a cabinet member despite being fired as Homeland Security Secretary. Nome 54 took up residence at a house usually reserved for Coast Guard commandant on Joint Base Anacostia Bowling last August, claiming she needed protection after receiving threats. She was expected to move out of the residence after President Trump fired her on March 5th amid backlash over her use of taxpayer funds. But 7 weeks later, the one-time cabinet member is still nesting in the Coast Guard's housing. The Wall Street Journal reports a black suburban SUV typically used by Nome was seen parked outside the house earlier this week. People familiar with the matter told the Journal. U.S. Coast Guard officials have seen Nome on the base in recent days, according to the Journal. The Coast Guard falls under the authority of the Department of Homeland Security, and her new role as special envoy for our Shield of the Americas, a position Trump reportedly created to keep her out of Senate run. Nome now serves in the State Department, not DHS. Oh, she wanted to run for the Senate, but Trump doesn't want her running for the Senate. So I don't know what she has on him, but he wants to placate her. He wants to make her happy. What does she know? What does he know? That's the question. What is the level of her knowledge on all these things happening, right? What's her level of knowledge? Everyone hit the Cash App, $ Old Man Labor, $ Old Man Labor. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. Subscribe, Facebook, Twitch, X, Instagram, and Substack. Thank you so much for the support. Today, I won't be on for long. Maybe an hour. maybe 2 hours. Let's see the flow of things, how things go, right? But obviously, something's going on here. It's like you still have your ex-girlfriend living in your house, right? Or your ex-wife. Not even nothing related to Trump, right? But what does she know? He still has her living in luxury digs. She has security personnel. She has security. She's protected and surrounded by people at all times. What knowledge does she have that they want to protect so badly? Makes you wonder, right? What knowledge does she have that she could blackmail, blackball the president? That she's living where she's not supposed to be living. Is this the administration of grifters? Is this the administration of grifters? But some people say they love the grift. And she's not the first one to be having an affair, allegedly, right? The allegations against her husband are real bad. But everyone knows nothing's gonna happen, right? He paid they said that he paid a sex worker $25,000, told her that he loves her, right? People found it unbelievable. And they said there was a high chance of a potential blackmail situation, right? A potential blackmail situation because he had he had proximity to Noam herself, right? So somebody could have easily used that information to try to get their way with the administration, right? So the question is, what does she know that Trump is still protecting her so badly that he's not willing to fully fire her? He transferred her to a newly created position, and I thought that was illegal in government, right? I was a government worker. I worked for the government for many years. I worked for the New York State. I worked for the city for many years. There's strict ethics rules that you have to abide by, right? As far as money, as far as what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, right? Conflicts of interest. But I guess in this administration, nothing matters. Rules don't matter. Laws don't matter. You could do as you please, when you please, and still get paid, right? Still get paid. She still has her government benefits. She has her security detail, and no one can say anything to her, right? me see. Hello, everyone on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitch, right? Yeah. I was trying to zoom in on the True Social post that he went crazy on this morning, but it's too much. It's like he wrote a whole page. He went on a whole long, lengthy report, right? He just went crazy. So, Noam alleged paramour Corey Lewandowski has also lived at the house, according to reports. After revelations of her husband's secret bimbomanification fetish and online cross-dressing, life became the latest scandal to engulf her. The New York Post reported earlier this month that Lewandowski, 52, and Noam continued to reside together at the Coast Guard house. So even worse, Lewandowski doesn't even have, is not even a government employee, not even married to Noam, just Noam's boyfriend, right? So one person familiar with the matter similarly told the Journal that Lewandowski, who has been booted out of the Trump administration, was spotted at the house this month. Scores of people have visited Ms. Noam at the house in a business capacity. Lewandowski, who is married, told the Journal in a statement through a lawyer. Noam's representative did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The Daily Beast has also reached out to the White House, DSA State Department, and Lewandowski for comment. Noam moved into the house typically designed to the Coast Guard commander after Trump 79 fired then Commander Lyndon Fagan last year. Admiral Kevin Lindsay, the current Coast Guard commander, has told the Associate he intends to relocate to the commandant's residence imminently. People familiar with the discussion told the Journal. He currently resides in a nearly identical neighboring home assigned to the vice commandant, but he wants to move into the house Noam has been occupied so that the vice commandant, Thomas G. Allen Jr., can take his current home, according to the Journal. The Washington Post reported last year that Noam was living rent-free at the house. Democratic Representative J.B. Raskin has also accused Noam of living rent-free in the official waterfront residence reserved for the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. And you already seen a lot of the videos that come out. But during her crash testimony on Capitol Hill, which ultimately led to her downfall, Noam instead she was paying her way. I rent that facility. I rent where I stay, and I pay personal dollar to that, she told the House Judiciary Committee. She also said, I'm not in the commandant's house. I'm in the Coast Guard house, but not the commandant's house. The commandant is in his house. Noam earned more than $200,000 in annual salary as secretary, according to the Post. Her net worth has been estimated at $5 million by Forbes. So it's not like she can't afford it. She could afford to pay for it, and or pay for her own home, pay for her own security, but she won't because that's just how grifters are, right? The bigger the grifter you are, allegedly, the less willing you are to spend on things that you want to save money on, right? That's just a reality. Grifters don't want to spend. They'll do anything to be cheap, right? So you want to hear her testimony? I know you don't want to hear it again, right? You don't want to hear her testimony again, her nonsense testimony. So Ted Lou is still going hard on Trump, right? Ted Lou is still going hard on Trump. He doesn't care what Trump thinks. He's attacking him.
Up, grocery prices are up, gas prices are up. Chairman Aguilar is right that the American people are suffering from a cost of living emergency. Inflation is up, grocery prices are up, gas prices are up. The Consumer Sentiment Index hit the lowest ever in its 74-year history. But you know who's doing really well? Trump and his family. According to a report from Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, Trump and his family have made over $9 billion in his presidency. The corruption in this administration is out of control. Chairman Aguilar is right that the American people are suffering from a cost of living emergency. Inflation is up, grocery prices are up, gas prices are up. The Consumer Sentiment Index hit the lowest ever in its 74-year history. But you know who's doing really well? Trump and his family. According to a report from Democrats on the House Oversight Committee.
So Trump is doing well, right? Trump and his family, they're doing well. They're getting deals left and right. Right? They're getting deals left and right. They're getting offered a lot of deals. And they're not turning them down. Right? They're not turning down their deals. They're just taking them. Right? They're just taking the deals. No one wants to talk about Candance Owens. Right? No one wants to talk about Candance Owens. Trump's attack on Candance Owens are bizarre. And that's the problem. That right now the rich feel like they could do whatever they want. Watch this. This is what they do. Right? Boom. They want to run for office. They have money. Other people don't have as much money. And so they make the system run in their favor. Right? This is what they do. And they feel like no one can say nothing or anything. No one can say anything. Listen to Brian Lander and what his opposition candidate did, trying to buy the election that he's running for.
Money flowing in from crypto donors and Wall Street and from his inherited personal fortune to his campaign. He already has money flowing in from crypto donors and Wall Street and APAC and private equity, but apparently that's not enough. Let's call this what it is. He is trying to buy the election. So I'm asking for your help because I can't match your contributions. $5, $10, whatever you can give. Let's show New York 10 is not for sale. Okay, you guys, this is really outrageous. My quarter-billionaire opponent just announced that he is giving $1 million from his inherited personal fortune to his campaign. He already has money.
So he's donating to his own campaign to leverage the amount of power that he has. Dan Goldman was a Biden supporter, um, and now he's running for Congress. Rich guy, multi-millionaire, and I don't know what to say. That our election process is, we're gonna have to find something, figure something out. We're gonna have to figure something out. It's not working. People could buy an election and con people and do whatever they can to flood the market with videos and information. And then I'm like, does Trump think for a second MAGA actually reads these long, tired diatribes? Americans know he has been a racist and sexist. And so Trump posted the fact that it's not true, that he's not a racist, that he didn't discriminate against people in the housing market, that he's not a white supremacist. I'm like, you don't even believe that story, right? I don't think he even believes that story, right? So he just reposted this. And why does everyone believe whatever he says as fact, right? It shouldn't be that way. Whatever he says is not fact. We got to verify it, double check it, and make sure that we read it thoroughly, and then we can make a determination. But we shouldn't jump to conclusions. So, case United States versus Fred Trump, Donald Trump, and Trump Management, Inc. Case summary: the case was brought against Fred and Donald Trump and their real estate company in 1973 in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York. In October 17, 1973, the Justice Department filed this case, civil rights case, in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York, federal court in Brooklyn, against Fred Trump, Donald Trump, and their real estate company. The New York Federal Court in Brooklyn against Fred Trump. Complaint alleged that the firm had committed a systemic violations of the Fair Housing Act of 1968 in their many complexes, 39 buildings, between them containing over 14,000 apartments. The allegations, including evidence from black and white testers who had sought to rent, right? These are testers. So these were investigators that went around trying to, catch people discriminating against families that were trying to buy a home, right? Right? So they send these testers out, or what you call investigators, to see what was happening, right? Between them containing over 14,000 apartments. The allegations included evidence from black and white testers who had sought to rent apartments. The white testers were told of vacancies. The black testers were not steered into apartment complexes where a high proportion of racial minorities. The complaint also alleged that Trump employees had placed codes next to the housing applicant's name to indicate they were black. After 2 years, the matter settled with a consent decree signed June 10, 1975. It included the ordinary disclaimer of liability. The settlement was in no way an admission of a violation, but prohibited the Trumps from discriminating against any person in the terms, conditions, or privileges of sales or rentals of the dwelling. In addition to a general injunction against discrimination, the decree prohibits specific discriminatory practices such as lying about the availability of apartments or interfering with the individual's enjoyment of their housing rights through threats or coercion. Fred and Donald Trump were ordered to thoroughly acquaint themselves personally on a detailed basis with the Fair Housing Act. The agreement also required the Trumps to place ads informing minorities they had an equal opportunity to seek housing at their properties. According to a contemporary article in the New York Times, Trump management was required to furnish the New York Urban League with a weekly list of all apartment vacancies. For 2 years, the league would get 3 days to provide qualified applicants for every fifth vacancy in Trump's building, where fewer than 10% of the tenants were black. The Justice Department called the decree one of the most far-reaching ever negotiated. Newspaper headlines echoed that assessment. The New York Amsterdam News, for example, titled its article, Minorities Win Housing Suit, and told readers that qualified blacks and Puerto Ricans now have the opportunity to rent apartments owned by Trump management. But were they able to rent apartments? So it's easy to say, yes, they settled the case so they could stay out of court. And so this doesn't prove anything. So there's always been allegations against Donald Trump and his empire of being white supremacist or being discriminatory toward minorities, and his dad being part of the KKK. And this tweet does not dispel that. It just said that the case was settled. It doesn't admonish him. It doesn't say that he's not guilty or that he didn't do anything. It says that he didn't face penalties because he settled the case. So not accepting or not denying that it happened, but agreeing to never let it happen again. Right? That's all. It was just a settlement. So why would he post that? It doesn't make sense. It makes him look worse than what I was thinking. Right? It's making Trump look worse than what I was thinking. The way he looked before. He looked a lot worse now by posting that. He just thinks that everything's going to vindicate him. That he's just a victim of the system and he just trying to survive. But when he's tweeting at 1 o'clock, that's controversial, right? So you gotta tell him to calm down, right? Somebody tell him to calm down. Because he's staying up late night tweeting and people are noticing that he's not really paying attention.
Wanted to have in the second term. He was so irked that he spent 4 years in the first term hearing from people that were telling him bad news. This is like any autocrat who, through history, we hear this story again and again and again. They don't like to hear bad news. He does not have people around him who want to tell him bad news. And when he does encounter it, because you can't be in the real world right now without encountering the fact that there's a heck of a lot of bad news out there that he's responsible for, he doesn't care. He dismisses it. And it's interesting to hear you talk about the Clinton administration. What's so scary is more than half of the people alive in the United States today were not alive when there was a balanced budget in the United States. That's right? Since Bill Clinton became president, more than half of the country was born after that. We've never lived in a time when there was a balanced budget, the majority of this country. And even then, people are upset about what this man's doing. Look, those numbers, remember, this week started
You guys are such Republicans that a balanced budget is your highest bar for whether or not the economy is in a good place.
Oh, man, you say balanced budget, we are ready to go dance.
What about childcare? Remember when the tariffs were going to pay for childcare?
But you actually raised an interesting and I think an important point, because Did we suffer from, a loss of revenue and support for childcare with a balanced budget? No. Did we suffer for other programs that are part of the safety net of this country because the president balanced the budget? No. The balanced budget process is a choice. It is always about choices. And right now, and I think recent history will tell you, Republicans, I don't think have chosen wisely because they've said we cannot do those things. And we've just heard the president say this. We feed people. How the hell am I supposed to feed people?
He said, we can't do childcare. We can't do all these things they want us to do.
I will just say this, that
I don't know. What do you think, people? What do you think? Are they treating Trump harshly? Are they treating Trump harshly, or is it true, all the things they're accusing him of? Right? If the glove wears, you gotta fit it. You gotta use it, right? If it fits, you gotta use it. Right? So okay. Give me 1 second. Let me go back to Ted Lieu. He absolutely despises Trump. He despises Trump. Big time. Everyone hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So this was the president. So this is the president tweeting at 3:45 in the morning. And he gets up and he's done. Let me show you. And Trump is out for the count. Trump is done. And Trump is struggling. Tweeting. You guys got it? You guys got it?
Negotiating international trade agreements. 59 days after we stood in this office and President Trump, standing with Albert Bourla from Pfizer, announced the first of the 17 MFN deals, together with our colleagues from the Department of Commerce under Secretary Lutnick's leadership and from the U.S. Trade Representative's office under the leadership of Ambassador Greer, we negotiated a landmark agreement with the government of the United Kingdom in which they agreed to increase significantly the amount that they spend on branded pharmaceuticals for the first time in 26 years. That work continues with other countries. And third, we will continue our work with our partners in Congress to codify the principles that underpin these most favored nation deals so that these savings for American families and this innovation that is unleashed at the same time persists for decades to come. We continue our work on negotiating international trade agreements. 59 days after we stood in this office and President Trump, standing with Albert Bourla from Pfizer, announced the first of the 17 MFN deals, together with our colleagues from the Department of Commerce under Secretary Lutnick's leadership and from the U.S. Trade Representative's office under the leadership of Ambassador Greer, we negotiated a landmark agreement with the government of the United Kingdom in which they agreed to increase significantly the amount that they spend on branded pharmaceuticals for the first time in 26 years. That work continues with other countries. And third, we will continue our work with our partners in Congress to codify the principles that underpin these most favored nation deals.
Is it things are
so
not
that
going
these
well
savings for
for
American
Trump?
families and this innovation
He's
that
not
is
sleeping
unleashed
well.
at the same time persists for decades to come.
Is it his conscience that's eating him? He can't sleep at night. Can't sleep well because of all the things that he's done. Or he's staying up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, tweeting, right? Tweeting. How can he stay? How can he stay up, right? How can he stay up? It's impossible, right? For the president. Everyone hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Hit the Facebook, YouTube, Substack, Twitch, X, and Instagram. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Who do you think is going to win the debate, Hasan Piker, or we should throw Tucker Carlson in there, right? But it's going to be Hasan Piker with all of us. I'm just joking. With Sean Hannity. So Sean Hannity he's getting a lot of slack. A lot of conservatives are jumping down his throat for allowing Hasan Piker to be on his broadcast on Fox News. Right, it's going to be an interesting debate, an interesting fight, and I hope you join me there. Hit the follow, like button, share, and hit up the Cash App as much as you need to send. Do so, all right? And I'll see you later. See you tomorrow. Have a good night. I said I was only going to stay on for an hour. I stayed on for another 18 minutes. There's so much going on in the world, but I'm going to have to catch you up tomorrow. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a good day. My name is Celso Garcia, and support the channel so I can keep bringing you this live programming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and Substack. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.